going on, guys? Lucky Aces on my 2008 Honda Shadow Aero 750 bobber slash chopper thing. Probably need to come up with a name because I was, Lucky Aces and the Aces. I was calling it the Aces bobber. I don't know if I should call it the Aces chopper. The only thing we really chopped was the back, not the front. So I'm not sure how that works. Like, what is a chopper anyway? I mean, if it's bike you chopped up, then it counts, right? I guess. I don't know. But it's been a week or two since I did the 8-inch over fork tubes and the 14-degree rake kit up front. I gotta let you guys know my thoughts on it. So the first thing I noticed is the front end does feel heavier, slightly, but also lighter at the same time. That is extremely confusing, but trust me, it'll make sense. Now the bike does sit a little higher than stock in the front, so it does lean over just a little bit more when it's on the kickstand, and that's where that extra weight comes from. Because when I had the 6-inch fork extensions down there, it was the same thing. Except that was at the factory rake, so we were way up in the air. And just, muscling all that weight up, that was the tricky bit. Because it's not a heavy bike. The Honda Shadow is like 550 pounds. Which is a different number in kilograms, and I'll probably forget to look it up. Well, the kit came with new triple trees also, uppers and lowers. And you don't use any of the factory like races or neck bearings or anything. You knock all those out of the way. Pretty much you just punch them out, then you clean up the neck tube, slide the new parts in. It's a press fit up top and a press fit below. There's a bolt that runs through it. You torque it down to 150 foot-pounds. And as long as everything lines up, you're good to go. The upper tree had kind of like a ball joint action that had that big stem bolt going through there. Well, not like the stem bolt. The stem bolt came from underneath. But basically, the top was like a ball joint. There's a freaking stem that goes down in there that the bottom clamps to. And it all just bolts together. And those are so... I don't know what bearings they used when they built the kit, but they're pretty good. Like, this thing is butter smooth, baby. Butter smooth. Really wish I measured beforehand, but just kind of looking at everything, the bike's about 10 inches longer than it was before. And just tracking in a straight line, oh my gosh. If I still had the Mustang seat on here, I swear I could ride this bike to the freaking moon if it wasn't for the lack of like oxygen and vacuum into space and all those other technical things you got to figure out. Plus there might be monsters up there. Apparently we went there back in like 1969 and never went back. Or we did a few times. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up because I went to public school in the United States, so there ain't no freaking telling how accurate any of that information was. And because these bearings are so good, and because we're, a little longer in the front, this thing just wants to fall into corners. Like, it just wants to lean all day. I mean, it was nimble before. It's not as nimble. And slower speed stuff now is a little sketchier than it was. Like, it almost feels like this thing wants to, when you start going before it stabilizes, it wants to move around a little bit. Almost feels like I'm gonna fall over. And I can't tell if I am or not, but honestly it feels like I'm leaning over further in corners too. Either that or I finally learned to turn my head when I freaking ride this thing, because that's always been my Achilles heel. Is I never, I go into a corner, I never turn my head properly like I should. Now one thing I haven't done is I have not taken this bike out on the highway yet. And I mean, the 750 can do it, I just don't really have any reason to. I don't use this bike to travel, mainly because it's bobbed out, and I can't carry any luggage. But I can imagine, like, highway cruising now is going to be amazing if I ever decide to do it. So I'm kind of limited to the fork bag and a backpack. I haven't figured out how or where to put anything else on this bike. There's, like, no room for a swing arm bag or anything. And, even though we're bobbed out and chop it out, I mean, I still daily ride this thing as much as I can anyway. If I'm working in town and the weather's nice. Like, this isn't a show bike. This is, like, my main motorcycle. And I know I'm sacrificing function for form, but my gosh, I mean, I really like this bike. And I have no intention of ever selling this thing. Like, this is a motor... If I could only have one motorcycle, out of the two bikes I have, if I could only have one motorcycle, it's going to be this one. For two reasons. One, the 750 does everything I need. And two, I got so much money tied into this freaking bike. I mean, because even though we're bobbed and choppered, I mean, the chopper kit was $2,000. It was $2,000 for a little bit longer forks and that front wheel kicked out just a little more. Honestly, that's like the kit. And at the end of the day, this is the 2008 Honda Shadow 750. I mean, it's not like this is some $10,000 bike now, because I spent a couple $1,000s on it. No, this thing is still like a $3,000 bike. I mean, this bike is still only worth like $3,000, you know, on a good day. Because this funny thing about Honda Shadows is they made an absolute ton of them. They're everywhere. And then really, I guess it kind of depends on what somebody wants too, because you could probably, I mean, I might be able to get like 5 for it if I wanted to, but I don't want to sell it. This bike is not for sale. And as long as I can help it, it never will be. And the question some of you might be thinking, knowing what I know now with this kit, because I had to get it out of my system, I was curious, and I always wanted a chopper. Now I got one. Now what do I do? Just ride it around, I guess. I'm not opposed to taking trips on this thing, I just got to figure out the best way to do it. Spend the money again? Knowing me? I don't know. I guess the question is the kit really worth $2,000? Well, considering I'm kind of choppered out now, and I didn't have to do any cutting or welding on the front, and honestly, since I didn't need to use the extended brake line, which comes with the kit, they come with like everything you need. Super great folks. It's like every time I called for an update, I ended up talking to the guy on the phone for like a half an hour. Yeah, I'd say the kit's worth the money, if that's what you want to do. Would I do it again? Probably not. So, anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get some go-go juice. Or try to. It's super busy right now. It is lunchtime. There's a pump right there. Perfect. Nobody's waiting on it, right? Nobody's waiting on it, right? Hell yeah, sneak right in here. And there she is. It's my 2008 Honda Shadow Chopper Bobber whatchamajigger. I think it's a sharp looking bike. So yeah, if you guys want to check out the walk around before I chopped it out back when it was a bobber style, you can check out this video right here. And as always, y'all be good. See you.